need me to say that?
Hold on 1 second, I need to get it on record.
That was just my greeting. I'll try and remember to say it at some point. Okay, are we on sound check? Are we on? Are we going live now?
Yeah.
Good day, everyone. Thank you very much for coming, joining us today. With respect to the landmark judgment delivered by the Honorable Justice Kangaloo in our Supreme Court, the High Court of the Supreme Court. And I say today, the Constitution has strength in Trinidad and Tobago, in spite of all the machinations, in spite of all the conspiracy theories with respect to several matters which I will raise with you today. So thanks again, and we're very happy to welcome you here in these very difficult times. For the past few weeks, our country has been plunged into a crisis which extends to the very heart of our democracy. The government has launched an unprecedented assault on independent institutions of our country. One of these is the TTPS, the fiasco which has been seen the complete collapse of the Police Service Commission is a stain that will forever mark our very young republic. Today, we see that three of the highest offices in our land, that of the President, that of the Prime Minister, that of the Attorney General, are all entangled in actions that may amount to misconduct in public office. Her Excellency the President, the Attorney General, and the Prime Minister all have serious questions to answer over this matter. Instead of doing their duty and accounting to the people, these three public office holders have preferred to all ignore that sacred duty. They have been ably aided and abetted by the former Police Service Commission's chair, Madam Bliss Prasad. The country has now been plunged into a constitutional abyss. It is as though a constitutional atomic bomb has exploded, resulting in a nuclear governmental meltdown. The three individuals sought to build a wall of lies to obstruct the nation from getting to the truth. Well, today, the High Court delivered a blow that has now destroyed the wall of governmental lies. This blow from the High Court strikes right at the heart of the office of the President, the office of the Attorney General, and the office of the Prime Minister. McDonald's Jacobs' acting appointment comes to an end midnight tonight. Well, today, he no longer sits in that office. The court has ruled the 2009 order under which he was appointed is null and void. So there will be no Commissioner of Police for this country at a time when murders and serious crimes is back on the rise, with 4 murders yesterday. This will be the first time in history that we will have no top cop or no acting top cop. I want us to spend a little detail examining what occurred and the stream of events that has led us to where we are now. The High Court, in a landmark judgment delivered today by Madam Justice Kangaloo, made several critical rulings as follows. The Police Service Commission acted illegally when it purported to appoint Mr. Gary Griffith to act as Commissioner of Police without seeking the approval of the nation's Parliament. The President breached the Constitution when she failed and or refused to issue the relevant notification to Parliament after the list of suitable candidates was delivered to Her Excellency by the Commission by way of a letter dated 12th August 2021, and that letter stated, nomination to act as Commissioner of Police, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Ministry of National Security, I'm still quoting, pursuant to Section 1234 of the Constitution, 123, subsection 4 of the Constitution, the 2021 Order of Merit List for the Office of Commissioner of Police shall be submitted to Your Excellency. Mr. Griffith's acting appointment was unconstitutional and illegal, and has been declared null and void and of no legal effect. Let's go back to the roots of this crisis. In July 2021, the Attorney General made yet another amendment for the selection process for Commissioner of Police. This order removed the requirement for the Police Service Commission to retain an independent firm for the recruitment process. The UNC objected to this order, and through Senator Wade Mark, moved a motion in the Senate to annul the 2021 selection process order. Senator Mark, on the 5th of July, as leader of opposition business in the Senate, moved that motion, and the motion was defeated by the PNM's parliamentary majority. It is instructive to also note on the vote on this motion in the Senate that all the president's men and women, that is, the 9 independent senators, voted together with the PNM, making 23 of them in the Senate voting in favor of the order. Therefore, the motion to annul the 2021 order was negative. That is, it did not succeed. Then we move along. We say that the AG has lost all credibility and must be removed. Contrary to the public rantings by AG Al-Rawi that there was no challenge to the constitutional validity of these 2 legal orders, it is clear that the court has invalidated and struck down both legal orders, 2021 and the 2009 order. They were both drafted, tabled under a PNM administration, both the 2009 order and the 2021 order. Mr. Jacob McDonald was appointed to act under the 2009 order, which has now been declared null and void. This judgment vindicates the position that we have taken on this matter. The judgment means that both the 2009 order and the 21 order, selection process orders, were ultra-vires, illegal, and unconstitutional. I would like to remind you of the arrogance and the pompous words of A.G. Faris to defend the shoddy order which he drafted and brought to the Parliament in July 2021. And I quote here, "I respectfully don't think there's any complication or error on the part of the Police Service Commission. Having had the benefit of the process of drafting it," this is AG, quoting from his Hansard in the Parliament when the motion was brought. "Having had the benefit of the process of drafting it, amending it, updating it into law, I am quite clear in my mind that the process has been correctly carried out. AG Faris must now resign. How many serious legal matters must Faris lose before the Prime Minister accepts the fact that Faris is unfit to hold this office? He no longer has any credibility, and that, coupled with all his alricusas and his rentals, and coupled with this illegal indemnity that he signed with Mr. Nelson, all of these we say that he must resign. He has no credibility, and the public cannot have the confidence and trust in him as the guardian of the public interest, as the person who looks after the welfare and the interests of the public. We do not have that trust. We cannot after all of this has happened. So I have put here an article from the Newsday where Faris was very pompous and saying that a member of the public had come into the issue raising a matter about this 2021 order and its validity, and Faris very pompously struck that down, said nothing is wrong with it, all is fine. This is in fact the second time a legal order he has made pertaining to the appointment of a Commissioner of Police has been the subject of adjudication. I can speak about that first time because I was one of the lawyers leading the charge in the case of Haridat Maraj and the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, where I led a team of lawyers to challenge the fact that Al-Rawi had inserted the Minister of National Security in the selection process, which by law could only be exercised by an independent service commission. The High Court then ruled that this was illegal because it subverted the independence of the Constitution and declared that there was an unjustifiable and unlawful fetter upon an interference with the independence, jurisdiction, and functions of the Police Service Commission. So more questions and answers have arisen. As I said, when a member of the public raised this matter in the public domain, I think it was Mr. Dave Passard Faris slapped him down. Nothing, no merit, nothing in that. This is a great order. It's all well and fine. Well, today the court has said, Faris, you are wrong. You are very wrong. That order is not valid. Several issues have surfaced, leaving more questions than answers. I want you to note that Mr. Corey Harrison, Director of Personnel Administration, acting, it seems as we have a lot of actors. In fact, I'm told we have a Academy of Actors in the TTPS. For years, they only had one acting DCP, Mr. Jacob, and that was only last year, August, he was appointed. So for years, you had no DCPs, when you should have had about 3, and all the others who are there now are acting persons. So a lot of actors and acting going on because of the failure to do your job by some officials. So Mr. Harrison, acting DPA of the Service Commissions Department, filed a sworn affidavit in this case, the case of Ravi Balgobin Miraj versus the Attorney General, and I think Mr. Gary Griffith joined in the matter. He, in that affidavit, dated on the 27th day of September 2021, at paragraph 7, he indicates that the Commission had completed its election process by the 9th day of August 2021. The affidavit will be attached and shared with you now. What this means, as at the 9th of August, in his affidavit, he gave a timeline of what they did to fill the vacancy that would have arisen when the appointment of Gary Griffith, the contract, expired. On the 9th of August, take note of the date, this year, his timeline shows that they had completed the process of selecting the nominees to be named as the substantive Commissioner of Police. Substantive, real job, not for an acting job. They had completed it by the 9th of August. You will see it in the affidavit. If, as Mr. Harrison states, that the Commission, the Police Service Commission, had completed that process by the 9th of August, when it wrote to Her Excellency on the 12th of August, why did it not simply submit the list of the person nominees for the substantive post? Why did they not do that on the 12th of August? When Madam C. Prasad went to the President's house, why did she not give her that notification, that merit list for a completed job selection process for a substantive post? How did it, was it by magic? How did it morph into something that had to do now with an acting Commissioner of Police? They're now telling us it was to do for an acting commissioner when the commission completed the selection process for a substantive, not an acting, Commissioner of Police. On the 12th of August, when Madam Bliss went there, Ms. Harrison states, the question I am asking is, why did the PSC not simply give that order of merit list for the substantive post? Why? Serious questions to be answered. And it's to be noted that ex-Commissioner Roger Kewal confirmed in an email of the 20th day of September that the Commission had in fact completed its work. He said that. That set the cat amongst the pigeons from then. They had completed the work for the substantive post. He said that, and he's a former member of that commission. And he said, Chairman Bliss C. Prasad was visiting Her Excellency to submit the order of merit list for what? For the substantive post. What happened? Who intervened? You know, you say somebody say, wicked witch or the wicked wizard just turned up and waved a wand. And that merit list for a substantive post was converted into for an acting Commissioner of Police. I mean, it's very, very wrong here. So, Madam Bliss went up to give this order of merit list. And Mr. Kewal says further, he has made what I see as an astounding, damning, and serious allegation. Up to date, that remains unanswered. And it's quoted in an article, absence of bliss in the police service process, selection of a new police commissioner, published in the Express newspaper on 21 September 2021. And I quote from that article, these are the words of Kewal. These are not the reported words of anybody else. This is what he said. Having said this, it is important to remind ourselves that as of the morning of 12th August 2021, the merit list for candidates for Commissioner of Police was completed and was to be delivered to Her Excellency. Was to be delivered. It seems to me, and I'm still quoting from him, but it seems to me that question is asked, when that question is asked, there can only be one correct answer. That answer is that upon visiting Her Excellency, there was an occurrence and information obtained which excited the suspicion of the chair and caused her such discomfort that it was not possible to deliver the list. The answer, of course, leads to other questions such as, from whom did this information come and what was the information? We'll find this in the Trinidad Express article I mentioned before. The silence from Her Excellency, from the Prime Minister, from Madam Bliss Prasad on this burning issue has fractured the rule of law and precipitated an unprecedented constitutional crisis. This speaks volumes. It speaks of a lack of transparency. It speaks of a lack of accountability. It is contrary to the essential principles that underpin our constitutional democracy, which is, in this particular case, which has to do with insulation of the TTPS from political interference. That has been enshrined in our Constitution from way back when, that the TTPS is to be governed by an independent police commissioner. But to get an independent police commissioner, you have to first have an independent police service commission. What happened? That question has not been answered. Up to today, that question has not been answered. So here it is, more questions. Who did Bliss Prasad meet with at Her Excellency's house, residence, on the 12th August 2021? Whom did she meet? A Trinidad editorial on Tuesday, October 12 states, Dr. Rowley's attempt at bravado by declaring that he always does his duty hardens the suspicion that he was in fact the mystery official. Since the selection process was completed, I'm asking again, was the list that was submitted to Her Excellency the order of merit list of candidates for the substantive post to the office of commissioner? Further, was the letter of August 12, 2021 suddenly changed so the merit list would pertain to acting appointments? And if so, mystery question on whose instructions? The first paragraph of the letter refers to the order of the merit list, and I quote from that letter of the 12th August from the Chairman Bliss to Her Excellency. I quote, pursuant to section 123(4) of the Constitution, the 2021 order of merit list for the office of Commissioner of Police shall be submitted to Her Excellency. It didn't say acting, It says the order of merit list for the office of Commissioner of Police. It didn't say acting. So I don't know, the letter get, as I said, magic wand was waved and some rush took place that converted a substantive a merit list for a substantive officer into one for an acting commissioner. And if you read that letter of the 12th, you will see several other discrepancies, again raising grave suspicion as to what actually transpired. The law does not contemplate the creation of an order of merit list for the purpose of acting appointments. So, did Miss Prasad, was she supposed to submit the order of merit list for the substantive appointment? And today I ask her, where is that order of merit list today? Who is hiding it and why? And why was it changed and taken off the table, and of course also not sent to the Parliament? It is inconceivable and very incredible that Her Excellency would not have known that the Commission had completed the selection process for the substantive post. That process, as I said, completed 9th August, and the logical purpose of the letter to Excellency of 12th August would have been to submit the order of merit list. There could be no other purpose for the meeting between Her Excellency and Miss Bliss Prasad, and whoever was our chief interferer who inserted he himself or herself into that meeting with those two ladies. Here we are now. As a former Justice of Appeal, why did Her Excellency not immediately stop the interference by telling him he was out of place and you should mind your own business, given her legal training? And she's an esteemed jurist. She was a judge of our Court of Appeal, extremely esteemed judge of a court and esteemed lawyer. But when we come to the actions with respect to her presidency, there are some very serious questions to answer. Her Excellency knew, ought to have known, that the dictator's presence was not authorized by law. Anybody's presence there was not authorized by law. And that she was participating in an illegal meeting, violating the sacred tenets of the Constitution, which she swore to uphold and protect. Assuming Ms. Prasad did not advise Her Excellency that the selection process had been completed since August, common sense would have demanded that Her Excellency should have asked Ms. Prasad for a status report on the matter and inquired of her, Bliss Gale, you know, they're bishops, schoolmates. She said, Bliss Gale, where all you reach with this thing? You know the contract was coming, and where you reach with this? She could have inquired about that. Instead of coming with changing into acting. Gale, what happened? Where have you reached? Gary contract going to end now, you know. Some Trini say, you know. Contract's coming to an end. Where did you all reach with this thing? Was Her Excellency given the order of merit list for that substantive appointment to COP, but refused to comply with her constitutional duty to issue the relevant notification for Parliament to consider and approve the nominees? Was Her Excellency prepared to abdicate her sacred duty, her constitutional duty, the Parliament and the people of this country? Did she conspire with the dictator to frustrate the selection process under the Constitution? So this is the status where we are now. We have the three highest officers in the land, as I say, entangled in what can only be seen could be seen as misconduct in public office, what can also be seen as interference in independent institutions, and then what happens next? Is it that Madam Bliss and team they resigned and went away, and who is to pay for the crisis that we have now? Who is to pay? Who will guard the guards? You know, it's always asked. And then you come here, this scandal strikes at the heart of our democracy. Dictators don't seize power by overthrowing Parliament with weapons. They do so by eroding the country's independent institutions, which are meant to serve to serve and protect and insulate from against political interference. Independent institutions such as the PSC are meant to serve impartial referees. Through its actions, the government is attempting to have political control over the guardians of our democracy. Now, it's a very dangerous thing. If you have a partisan police service commission, who then selects a partisan police commissioner in charge of the TTPS, you could end up with an army of rogue policemen following the ballet, doing the left foot, right foot dance of the ballet, and then every citizen is endangered. You could end up with a Tontamaku, that's what we've seen in other islands of the Caribbean. We've seen that happen if you have officers who are doing the bidding of the political directorate. It's a dangerous thing. And in the famous case of Endel Thomas and the AG, many moons ago, the Privy Council was very clear that service commissions were established in our Constitution to protect incursions and assaults by the political directorate on a TTPS that is duty-bound, as they say, to protect and serve all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Not one, not the Ballet gang. You're there to serve all the people, protect and serve all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So we have here this matter with the Police Service Commission. And you know, the abyss is even greater than you may even imagine. You may not even imagine how grave it is in terms of the situation we now find ourselves. There is no commissioner of police in our land. There is no acting commissioner of police in our land as we speak. The appointment of Jacob is declared null and void because of the order that he was appointed under, declared null and void. The Griffith appointment also null and void because the 2021 order and the process that was used was unconstitutional. So what does that mean? If there is no commissioner of police, you know, the Prime Minister was so, as usual, just offhand. When asked that question, well, look, should this happen on the 14th, that the court rules that the Griffith appointment was unconstitutional? And in any event, even if that 2009 order was not challenged and was not struck down, on the 15th, Mr. Jacob would cease because he was only appointed up to the 15th. What would happen? No. The sergeant who is the sergeant will continue sergeanting. That's what he said. The inspector who is inspecting will continue to inspect, and so on and so on and so on. Rubbishing. A very serious question, which is where we are today. That is the exact position that he was asked about. So short-sighted. So short-sighted not to see how serious the situation would become that should we find ourselves where we are today with no commissioner, as I said, and no acting commissioner, and no police service commission to appoint, to recommend appointments, Your Excellency. No police service commission when it collapsed. That collapsed. And so what's the next step? Well, I suspect they will rush us to come to Parliament, put some names. The last time the President sent names for the Police Service Commission, 3 names to me. She gave it to me and gave me 2 working days. At one of those working days, I was on my legs in the Parliament in the budget response. Then was the weekend, 2 working days to research 3 people. It's called due diligence. I don't know if that's how people appoint people. I am sure before any of you were appointed, your newspaper did a due diligence on you. Check out, did you have any criminal offenses against you? A criminal record? Do you have any judgments recorded against you? And this is in a time of COVID, where a lot of offices and services are shut down. That due diligence, I was given 2 days in which to do. In that short time in my research, I discovered that Mr. Coilas, who is also a very esteemed lawyer, when I practiced in South, he was in the practice there, and he still is, very esteemed lawyer. I have no problem with his capability or credibility, but I do have a problem when it comes to partisanship in what is supposed to be an independent service commission. And don't get distracted by the, what do you call it, the red herrings and the smoked herrings that the Prime Minister is trying to pelt in our faces. Distracted by it. That is nonsense and foolishness. Mr. Lala, he says, was appointed whenever he was a politician. That was some 19 years after this man ceased, donkey years, after he ceased to be a politician. Nizam Mohammed, same thing. After donkey years, he had ceased to be an active politician. But the difference was that Mr. Coilas was an active politician, politically campaigning, because on the eve of the last general election, he didn't just appear in a meeting, no. He hosted a fundraising cocktail party at his home. That is just a few months ago, which is a very live political position at this time. And that is why I objected to Mr. Coilas, as I say. They must not only, you must also have the semblance, there must also be the perception that there is not the partisanship, so that you could have faith and trust in the matter. So, Mr. Rowley, don't play smart with foolishness about this thing, about Lala and so on. When Mr. Lala was appointed, I wasn't even in the Parliament. I wasn't anywhere wrong, 18 or 19 years ago. Wasn't there, so I couldn't object. I was not in a constitutional position to object. But you know, when someone raised it, I think it was respect to Nizam Mohammed, that is when Mr. Rowley told the Parliament they're playing smart with foolishness. Playing smart with foolishness. So don't, Mr. Rowley, come with things that happened donkey years ago. What is important is this, and this is now. The focus must be on this abyss that we've been plunged into, and the focus must be on you 3 high office holders to tell the country who was the person who went to President's house to interfere in this process for selecting an independent commissioner of police. I say we will continue to resist this war upon our democracy. We will continue to fight for the freedoms and democratic rights of our people in this cherished Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you, and I'm open to your questions.
Good day, ma'am. Chancellor Van with the news. We'll start off with this issue. I'm sure we have other issues to touch on as well.
Sure.
Regarding the next step forward, a PSC is appointed, let's say tomorrow morning. What should be the next process? Should the merit list of the old PSC go forward, or should the whole process start all over?
First of all, it is my respect for you, and I've said this over and over, that the President has no moral or ethical authority to propose any names to a new police service commission before she responds to the elephant in the room. Who was that person? Who came up there and interfered with the process? She has failed and or neglected or refused to answer that question. And I do feel, as I say, with the greatest of respect, she has no moral or ethical authority to pronounce on new members to the Police Service Commission. That's my first point. What happens then, as I say, a service commission has to be established in order for them to send a list. And I'll come to the second part of your question in a minute. To send a list to Her Excellency, which will then be sent to Parliament by presidential notification for approval. The second part now you're asking, should it be that there was in fact this substantive merit list for a substantive commissioner? You ask me, what is the status? Is it dead? Can it be resurrected? I think that may be your question. My respectful view, but I'll have to do a little more research in it, I think it is dead. The manner in which that PSC conducted itself invalidates and tarnishes any list that they may have put forward. Any list now, whether it's for acting, whether it's for substantive, etc., etc. That is my first take on it, but again, we will do some more research to see whether that list can become like Lazarus and rise from the dead. We'll have to wait and see.
Veronica Singh from the Trinidad Guardian. You've made several calls over the last couple of days for the President to either speak up about this meeting or step down. Now, we've heard nothing from the President's office. What is your next step with regards to that?
I will share that with you tomorrow.
Okay.
I am focusing today, because we have a lot of things we want to do, I am focusing today on this landmark judgment, on this landmark blow, which has helped, as I say, to really give us back courage and a no. That's why we have this. This Constitution, this is the supreme law of the land. And when you trample upon the rights and freedoms enshrined and the processes in here, we will end up in a dictatorship. So I'll tell you that tomorrow. I promise you I will have another press conference tomorrow, and I'll tell you the way forward with respect to that matter. Okay, Veronica? Thank you.
So you touched on it earlier, sir.
Yes, good afternoon,
Prior.
Easy News.
Yeah.
The judge ruled today that the orders that were made in 2009, right, and 2021,
Yes.
they are null and void. Does that mean now that we're going to go back to Parliament, and would the opposition support such a constitutional amendment that will require your support?
We have always said we will support good law. I raised my voice very early o'clock on this 2021 order, but we allowed Senator Mark to go to the Parliament and negative it, the 2021 order. Very early o'clock, and I've asked him to find a tape where I had come out to say, this order is bad, it is unconstitutional. We've been vindicated in the position we took. It is a bad order, it is unconstitutional. What they will have to do is to draft a new order. So that's another complication now. They will have to draft a new order for the selection process. It's not just to set up a police service commission, you know. You have to come and bring another order, a new order. If it's struck down, that means there's no order for a selection process. So a new order will have to be drafted and brought to Parliament. Will we support it? We will support good law. If it is not bad law, we will fight out against it. Now the way that works, when that order comes, it comes by way of a negative resolution of Parliament. So the President makes the order, of course it's draft, she's then acting on behalf of the Cabinet, it's made by the Cabinet, by the AG, it is laid in the Parliament for debate. The opposition, should we want to annul it, we have to file a motion within 40 days, so it stays there as a live order, but we have to file a motion if we want to annul it within 40 days. So again, we'll have to see it, read it, and decide, do we want to approve as it is. I bet it's the second time they've interfered with the selection order. Second time. It was struck down last time. I was a lawyer then. We have only lawyers in this case here. Where is she? Ms. Lakshmi Dial and her team. We knew the order was bad. Have I answered your question, Brian? Yes.
Good afternoon. Urvashi
Good day,
from
Urvashi.
Does the President, in your point of view regarding your previous quotes, does she still have to speak up or resign?
Yes, the President should speak up or resign.
Is she constitutionally required to speak up?
I think she has a moral, ethical duty in the interest of the public and in the public good, by reason of the office she holds, that for the country to have and repose the trust and confidence in her, to discharge her duties as she took her oath impartially, without fear or favor, that she has a duty in that regard to speak up and disclose. She should stop being a poster girl for Prime Minister Rowley. Speak up. Don't stand out there in front and block this thing. Stand up. Don't be a poster girl, man. You're a brilliant woman, an experienced jurist.
And regarding your question as to why the Board of Merit list or the list was not sent to the Parliament, there's supposed to be an injunction in place could stop that list.
Yeah, that's the case with Mr. Ramisa.
Mr. Ramisa.
Yes. That process with Ramisa's case, all of this transpired before that case, if I'm not mistaken. Shanti, can you confirm that?
It is enough.
The letter of the 12th of August happened before Ramisa's injunction was granted. Can you check the date when that was granted, please? Yes. So that would not have precluded on the 12th that list to come in, being sent to Parliament for approval.
You also said that 3 officers are entangled in actions which can amount to misconduct. Are you contemplating any action with regarding to that?
I will tell you tomorrow, Rashi, tomorrow I shall disclose the way forward that the opposition intends to go. Today, we are concentrating on what this judgment means and what has happened in our country. Tomorrow, I will answer you.
But of course, Mr. Prasad, we're currently in a stalemate because there's no commissioner and also, if I'm correct, there's no acting.
Would you be kind enough, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, huh? I think those questions should be addressed to the President and the Prime Minister. They are the ones, and the Attorney General, to take us out of this constitutional impasse. But tomorrow I'll tell you what we intend to do, because we're not going to leave this alone. It will not stay alone. We will have a way forward.
You said that the current president, you only allowed or given 2 days by which to do your due diligence.
Research.
What's the usual time frame given?
So when we get those in the office, well, from 1 week to 2 weeks. But these are serious due diligence, you know. I mean, 2 days in a lockdown. You have to look, there are judgments recorded against people. You might have a criminal offense that takes time to do. Even you go to the police for a certificate of character, you want to apply for a job. I mean, it takes a time. And this is especially in light of the collapse of the other commission, the other commissioners. It becomes even more critical that due diligence be carried out. So 2 days.
Can you clarify for me, because I didn't read the judgment, whether or not the judge specified that the 2009 order itself was unconstitutional, or the appointment of Jacob using that was unconstitutional?
I believe it's the order. It was the order. She will not rule on the man Jacob.
No.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Former Acting Commissioner Stephen Williams would have been appointed under that, if I'm not mistaken. What does this judgment mean for every decision that he would
One
have
second.
taken?
What are the numbers? Where's the total numbers? In 11 years, from 2009 to coming to the present, there have been hundreds of appointments made under that 2009 order for acting cops and for acting DCPs. Hundreds. I'm just getting the number to tell you. So in that 11 years, you're right. Your question is what happens, and I am advised that where it is there was a breach in the process of the appointment, it will not invalidate actions taken by those office holders. So for those 11 years, all these people, whatever they did or didn't do, at first I thought, you know what, maybe they will have to bring a validation act to the Parliament to validate what happened previously in retrospect. But then I was advised that this is not the case, and I think Jandy told me the case is Barroso. Yeah. The doctrine of the de facto officer, and indeed the judge mentioned, indeed this matter was raised in the court as to what will happen with all these people over the years. About from 2009 to 20, no, we didn't get up to the present, we only had up to 2019, because those are the only police reports, service reports that we have. It was so what is done? Total 188 acting appointments made from 2009 to 19 in accordance with legal notice 103 of 2009. Okay, so that's a very good question. I was very curious about it myself. What would happen with all these decisions taken all over all these years? I want to make it again, you know. I know in the court, you know, the issue arose as to whether I think the lawyer in the case, lead lawyer, senior counsel Anna Ramlogan, I think he was asked, you know, well, or it was told to him, look, you were there for that 2009 order. I want to make it very clear. 2009, 2021 were drafted by a PNM administration and brought by a PNM administration into the Parliament. You again or somebody else? All right.
Do you believe that the President has a merit list right now?
Well, that is for God and you, her alone to know. Eh? But I'm saying from the series of events and the way it has unfolded, it is highly probable Let her come out and tell us no. It is highly probable that what Madam Bliss went to see that lady on the 12th about was that list. And I do believe, you know, this whole play, this whole thing is like a conspiracy game to get rid of Gary Griffith, get Gary Griffith out. One of the best commissioners we ever had. All the things that have unfolded, it's like a deliberate conspiracy to get Gary out. Why? One of the best commissioners, I don't know why. As say what happens in the darkness comes out in the light, and it will come out. I told you last time I spoke with you, you could run but you can't hide. It will come out. So you asked me if there is such a list. I'm saying all fingers point in that direction.
Is this an endorsement for Guy Griffith if his name is on that merit list?
I have said before and I repeat, I hold no brief. I hold no brief for Gary Griffith, but go, let's give a man a jacket when he deserves it. Pay a jacket. Fella did a good job. Tell me why you don't want him. Or tell me why there was a conspiracy, alleged conspiracy to get him out.
Based on the law, the president has no choice but to submit the list to Parliament when he gets it.
That is my understanding of the law. And that is a ruling today. That was a ruling today.
Mrs. Pasabisasa, how do you suspect the absence of police commissioner and acting police commissioner will impact crime and the SOE and so on?
Sure. I did mention it in passant, but there's more I would like to say about that. First of all, the commissioner is the accounting officer of the ministry. You know, in other ministries you have a permanent sec, so they had to sign off on certain things for things to be done, to get done. What's going to happen with all those matters? Who will sign off in the absence of this commissioner or acting commissioner? Who will sign off? The other issue is, what effect will this have on the morale of the TTPS? What effect would it have that they're rudderless, they're headless? That, I think, will impact on the TTPS. Some might be glad Gary's there. Some might be glad Gary's not there. Some might be glad that Jacob is gone. But that's not the point. The point is, in total, as a body to protect and serve, it will, in my respectful view, will have some kind of a negative impact on the morale of the TTPS. So you have the issues with the accounting officer's job to sign off on things. You have this impact negatively on the morale of the force. And there was a third point, might come back to me in a minute. You have any other questions, please?
Yes.
Yes.
One more a little way outside of the
Oh, sorry, it point came back to me. As a by the way point on that same question just asked. Yesterday in the Parliament, Minister Hines, who's the Minister of National Security, told the Parliament in the Standing Finance Committee that many of the contracts for the TTPS will not be renewed. Who is the Minister of National Security to tell that to the Parliament? He's not the accounting officer. And therefore, again, it shows interference in the workings. I was told that this Minister Hines went in the ministry when Gary Griffith went on leave and told them to cancel all contracts. Again, allegations of misbehavior in public office and interference with the police service and the functionings of the TTPS. You know, there's so much more. I have told Minister Hines, and I'm asking him, went into the ministry there and tell them they don't want Hines, they don't want Gary, they'll get rid of Gary. And sure, not everybody talks, you know. It's not that tipping off, it's people talk. And that's the other allegations against Mr. Hines. Again, alleging that they do not want Gary Griffith. He's not getting the back, he's not coming here, he doesn't want me back. Yeah. Again, is that true, Minister Hines? Tell us. Tell us that it is true or not true. MP Saddam is here.
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, I want to ask him to get me something in response to your question. Remember, you said there was a video. Can you write what is in the video that you wanted to share with me? Yes, sir.
Yes, final two questions from me. The Prime Minister, I don't know if you saw the Express today, would have labeled you a hypocrite.
I answered that. I answered that. But I'll tell you again. The only hypocrite in the room is him. I told you before that Lala was, you really want me to repeat it? Did you all hear it when I said about Lala, donkey ears, and the other guy, donkey ears, but Koilas was on the eve of the last day, I think it was in July. There's a flyer, a brochure advertising the cocktail, fundraising cocktail in a red palliating at the home of Mr. Coilas. I have nothing against Mr. Coilas. As I practiced when I was in South with him. He's a good lawyer and so on. Great person. He might have made a good person on the team, but again, the issue of partisanship would arise.
My final question is, the government is
I say, wait, let me finish that one for you. Let me finish that. Let me finish that answer. He labeled me a hypocrite. I want to say that, again, in my view, respectfully. When such a big elephant is in the room of the nation of Trinidad, the hogs of Trinidad and Tobago, that is your issue. I see it as just another distraction to take away from this major constitutional mess that we are in. It's a distraction. And we should not get caught up with that. We should ask him, where were you on the 12th of August? Were you there? Did you interfere? Those are the issues, burning issues before a country. You come to talk about 2 people who were appointed donkey years after they stopped practicing. So it's a distraction. That's how I see it. And the Prime Minister likes to accuse everybody of everything else. I see it as red herrings in this constitutional crisis time, and I also see it as smoke herring. He likes to talk about smoke herring. I like smoke herring, by the way, so I hope it is VAT zero rated. Go ahead.
Yes, there's been call for Senator Naked to resign and or be fired for statements that he made particularly.
Who is calling for him to be fired?
The government.
Well, I'm not surprised, you know. A particular...
There's a part 2 to that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
The brain is going faster.
His views towards the president, is that supported by the opposition?
Let me just say this. Again, another distraction in the midst of all of this thing. Who put that word into our language? The word that they're calling on Naked to resign for and whatever. Who put that word into the public domain in the language of a national platform in a press conference? Who did it? When the Prime Minister was asked by somebody, whatever question, he said, don't, J, and you know the rest of the word. I don't want to use it myself. Don't. Where did that come from? So again, they accuse you of the foolishness that they do. So, with the Naked issue, the Prime Minister is again being a hypocrite. I think they're scraping the barrel, they're really desperate, they're clutching at straws, trying to find things to take away the attention of the people from this major critical issue. He should concentrate, I repeat myself, on this thing.
And part 2, is that the view of the opposition party?
I have no view on that, quite frankly. None whatsoever. I am saying the man who introduced that word into our lexicon on national platforms should be the last person to raise such a matter. When he comes to apologize for his kind of language, then we'll have a different take on it. We can look at that then. But for the moment, he has no leg to stand on, or his government. This is the man who introduced all kinds of... Forex, ordinary citizens ask about foreign exchange and so on. What did he tell the man? On national, in an email thread, what did he tell him? This was Inshan Ishmael, where he asked him about Forex. Boy, we ain't getting Forex, we have businesses. What did he tell him? What did he tell him? I will not repeat the words, but I'll tell you this. He told him, kiss my hinds. That's what he told him. And you want to come now and play holier than thou and mightier than thou? Please, let us not get carried away with the antics of this man. They are desperately clutching at straws. Yes, ma'am, or Vishy?
You said that the Attorney General lost credibility and should be removed. Could you just expound a little bit on your thinking?
All right. Well, you know, we have a motion of a privileged motion in the Parliament against the AG for lying to the Parliament. One. I said there were several issues. That's one. Two, I said that we've lost credibility, we've lost trust in him. He is the man who drafted the order, you know, child. Sorry, ma'am. He is the one who drafted the order. He drafted the order and he boasted. The thing is, when Mr. Dave Prasad raised the issue, he slapped up Dave Prasad, public keys, and carried in one of your newspapers. Nothing, so man, this thing is perfectly in order. He saw nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. That's another issue. And then all the issues surrounding the indemnity issues. The immunity that he gave to Nelson. And then There was a fourth one. The car, all issues about his car with a check that was not stamped, so it was not encashed. It is not registered anywhere. It was not declared on his integrity forms for all of 3 or 4 years. I mean, are you for real? In any other country, you go a long time as an attorney general who must act in the welfare of the public interest. You're only looking after your own interest. All the recusals. You know, when I spoke last, I said there were 4 recusals and 4 properties. You know, we found out there are more. And I'm doing the research on about 3 or 4 more properties for recusals. I think you're trying to tell me to stop speaking. Anybody else, please? Anybody else? Anything else? This video that I asked for, can I share with you? The acting appointment. Okay. Faris mounted, the case was about the 2021 process based on the 21 order. Faris, through his lawyers, raised in the court in this case the validity of the 2009 order. Okay? He raised the validity of that for a DCP to be asked to act and so on. But he said a very strange thing. We have a video with his voice, which we'll put on when we're sending out the soft copies. The president, he said that the president requested in writing, by way of direction, that the acting appointment of the DCP to a cop asked for that to be put to the court. So the issue of the 2009 order, Faris is alleging that the president requested it in writing to get a direction from the court on the 2009 order. Again, 2009 order. There's another point here with this, you know. They went to the court to strike down the 2009 order. He's saying he did it at the request of the president. So again, there we go. Where is the separation of powers? Why did the president not send her team of lawyers to the court? Why is Attorney General Faris Alwari representing the president in the courthouse? The last time a matter arose like this with the JLSC case, was it JLSC, Chanty? Where they were challenging persons who were appointed to the JLSC as being not qualified. I think that was the Dumas case, if I'm not mistaken. It's a famous case now. It's opened up the public law so wide. Challenging persons appointed by the president as not having the proper qualifications to serve on that JLSC. The president sent a team, you know. It was exactly the same kind of process, where you have president appointed JLSC, Mr. Dumas challenging the court now, you can't put those people, something's wrong with this thing. That was?
That was PSC, not JLSC.
Sorry, Police Service Commission as well. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Police Service Commission, a team went, a lawyers representing the president. In this case, the president again failed and or refused and or neglected to put forward a team to represent the office of the president. Where is the separation of powers? Why do you have the AG representing the president? There is a separation of powers. You are entitled, and you did so before. We have the precedent for a team of lawyers to represent you. Was it that the president didn't want to have to put in any affidavits or to talk about who came on the 12th and why they came and what they did, whether they had tea and clotted cheese or what they call scones and clotted cheese? I don't know. Why? So that's another major issue. Where is the separation of powers? So we have Faris on video here saying that the president requested him to raise that issue about the DCP order, 2009 order. Why did the president send a team of lawyers to raise the matter? Why? So there is so much more in the mortar than the pestle. As I say, what happens in the dark will come to light, and the opposition will continue to fight for the rights and freedoms of our country. Again, I see that 2001 order, I had made a point already, 2021 order, as an attempt by the government to erode our democracy, to change the law to handpick a commissioner of police. That is what that order was about. To change the law on the eve, you wait 3 years, the man has a contract. First of all, why was there no option for renewal of a contract? Why? In the contract that was given, why? And then on the eve, you come in July and rush this thing through the parliament, why? Again, a totally incompetent government. Some might call them lazy. They wait until the crisis hits them, and then they wake up and say, whoa, boy, we have to do something now. Next thing we in Parliament Saturday or Sunday, this government is operating to deal with, when we were already here last Saturday. But they might drag us back out this weekend to deal with this Police Service Commission issue. So we await. In the meantime, never give up hope. Whilst we have the Constitution and the law on our side, and once we have people willing to stand up to fight for the rights and freedoms, we will succeed. And I want to congratulate the person, I call him as an international legal luminary. His name is Ravi Balgoyim Maharaj, who has taken so many public law issues as a litigant, to challenge wrongdoing, to challenge unconstitutional action, and so on. That's it then, guys?
So one last one.
Oh, dear.
Sorry.
I think you really like the law. Have you studied the law?
No.
Maybe you should consider.
As you mentioned Saturday, I just recalled that.
Last Saturday?
Yes. Some of the MPs did not speak and caused the collapse of the budget debate. What, if any, response do you have to that?
Okay, I think I sent out one, but I'll be happy to answer again. In person, I sent out a release, but I'll be glad to answer you. It's this. They are saying the opposition did not represent their constituents. I represented mine. I stood up for about 2.5 hours, deliberately so. I didn't want to stretch for 3 hours and 40 minutes and bore everybody to tears and so on. I represent several of my MPs represented their constituents as well. But why is it that the government MPs failed and or refused and or neglected to come and account for the billions of dollars they spent? Why? Why they had the greater duty? I recall when I was Prime Minister, a similar thing happened where the opposition was, this present opposition was then, present government was then in opposition. And the leader of government business then in the House was Dr. Munilal. And the PNM then refused to put up speakers, very much like what happened. And he asked me what to do. Leader, what should we do? I said, okay, what they do. As a government, we have to represent the people and account for the money spent and how we are going forward to spend the more money that we'll be getting. And that's what we did. And if you check those debates, you see on many occasions, we had 3 and 4 ministers, one after the next, getting up to contribute. Now, what would have happened? It's a numbers game. We have less numbers, and the convention has been, the government will run 1 or 2 of their members, and then they bring more from upstairs. In addition to the 23 they have downstairs, there's 23, I think. At the rate they're going, that number will soon be less than 23. So here we are. They brought senators from upstairs too, and MPs didn't speak. So I do not think it is fair to cast blame for the collapse of the debate on the opposition. We run the numbers. We put a few, when we are in government, you put a few of your members because you have more. So that you do not end up in the last 2 days of the debate that they have run out all our speakers and who would not then be able to get up to respond, and they start to put out one after the next, and you get a whole day of only PNM, or 2 days of the debate only PNM. And that's how we've always conducted the business. But this is, I've been in Parliament, as I say, 20 going on 30 years. I've never seen a government behave in this dictatorial and tyrannical way as this one. I served in the opposition under the Manning government. They were never like that, Mr. Manning is like a saint now compared to how Rowley is operating. They just shut down the debates. They come every few days, they change your speaking time. One day you could talk for 45 minutes, another day 30 minutes. They keep chopping the speaking times. They keep changing how many of us could sit in the chamber and can't sit there. They're just running that as though it's Ballinger House. That's what's going on in the Parliament. People wake up and see what's happening. Slowly but surely, we are creeping into, I don't think we're creeping anymore, we are galloping into a dictatorship. It's happening right before our eyes. Right before our eyes. I see some people in Barkpore protesting for roads. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Barkpore, but I promise you, you wouldn't want to go because the roads are so horrible. And letters would be sent and requests be made, nothing done. So the residents decide, look, I'm going to protest. They want to lock up people now. Again, this SOE is to lock up people. This SOE is to keep you from coming out and raising your voices for your rights, stifling your rights. That's not just as COVID. And COVID is being used like the weapon. It's being used as a weapon by this government against the rights of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So Barrackport people protest, okay. I am now being interrupted. Last night somebody told me, said my wife's family live down there. You know what is happening? The police are going to homes. I hope it's real police and not fake police. Because I don't want to accuse the police if it's not them, but they're going to people's homes and saying, we want your CCTV footage, we want to see who were those people in the protest. So they're intimidating, some police officers are intimidating the residents there. When there was the big protest up here and the road burning, the whole of the road burning, you all remember it? Up in Beetham somewhere. Whole road, total fire across the road from here to here, you couldn't pass. Did anybody get arrested? Did anybody get harassed? Did anybody get charged? Again, I call it geographic discrimination. I speak of it in many regards. There's geographic discrimination in the distribution of hampers, in the distribution of the resources of the Treasury. We are seeing it every time. With no commissioner of police to give guidance to his officers, again, that's another issue that would arise. So I wish to say thank you very much and take my leave. You okay, Jason?
Yeah.
Priya? Lavashi leave and Renuka.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you all very much for being here. We will send out, my staff will send out if you give them your email addresses.